Okay, I think we are live on YouTube. This is the first time I am ever trying to go on YouTube Live from Zoom, so I hope that it is working. There we go. Yes, I see myself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's live stream. I'm so excited for our conversation today because I have with me one very special woman, somebody that I have had the privilege of getting to know over the last year as my beautiful client, Parul. And over the past few weeks, there has been just a lot of celebrations of how this woman is just bringing in money, more and more money. And I really wanted to use this opportunity to spotlight her because over the last year, there has been a lot that I've had the privilege of witnessing. And to see her transformation and to know where she was a year ago and where she is now, I really believe that this is going to give my audience so much more encouragement of what's possible. Because although we are all gifted in our own ways, we are so unique in our own ways, and at the same time, I say this about myself all the time, that there is nothing really more powerful about me or more special about me, but we are all different and we have different powers. But there is just, when we get into that power within ourselves and when we own it, magic starts to happen. So I really wanted to bring Parul on so you could hear from her perspective and see where she was, where she is now, how she did it, how did she go into 5-timing her income, and we get into that a little bit. So I wanted to pass on the mic to Parul to maybe do a little bit of an introduction, my love, and let our audience know who you are, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Sharzad. You're truly a blessing in my life. My name is Parul. I'm from India. I am now a money manifestation coach myself, something I had never imagined I would do. But I think that was the weakest point amongst a lot of other things for me in my life that made me truly turn towards first embodying what it means to manifest money from a place of ease, from a place of joy, and then also desiring to teach it. And it makes me so happy. It gives me so much joy. So yeah, here I am.
Well, welcome. We are so blessed to have you, my love. And I am so excited for people to get to know you, to know your gifts and what you stand for. But before going into where you are now, I would love it if you could give us a little bit, not too long ago, maybe a year ago, of where you used to be. What was your, when it came to your money reality in terms of it coming in or not coming in and the flow of it, what it was, and how you felt about money in general? We would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so going about a year ago, March 2022 is when I started working with you. That's when I bought, I think Mesmerize was it. And I had no intention of just getting into money at all. I was really in a space where everything was a mess and my finances literally gave me a lot of anxiety. Unfortunately for me, with you, I started with, a lot of emotional intelligence stuff, my anxious attachment style that I started working on, and that became the foundation. But where I was in terms of like money was, I was scared every single day. I didn't want to look at my bank account. I was so scared if, money is going to come in, not going to come in. And that's because I had quit a stable career and I did not believe that there was any other way to get a consistent income. I didn't believe in myself. I had very little trust in myself. So very inconsistent, sometimes no money. So, I would just hold on to money a lot. I would go out, spend, even on a simple average dinner and feel like, oh my God, what's going to happen? My heart used to sink. And I hated feeling that way. But I was like, how did I land up in this situation? It wasn't so bad. But it was, even when I was in a job and I had a stable income coming in and things were not so bad, I still felt like, my heart would close up when I had to spend money on things. So it's been a long journey. Sharzad, I started with some simple advice that you gave me just over one of our messages. And then I started doing codes of money and I started doing everything that you asked me to do 5 times over because I was like, I will never be in this situation ever again that I have to worry about money. And I don't care if I get it through Sharzad or not, but I'm going to get there. And that's a lot of what you teach, how to become a no matter what woman. And it's taken me a year. It's not been an overnight journey. I mean, I went through a lot of ups and downs. I remember when I was doing codes of money for the first time, I had such unexpected things show up in my life. And I was like, oh my God, here I am spending whatever money I have on this program. And more of like these ups and downs are showing up. And I was like, what the hell is happening with me? But I now looking back, I see it as an opportunity for me to learn from those experiences, how to have that stable energy around money, whether it's going, whether it's coming, whether I'm saving, whether I'm investing. And I think I read it somewhere on Instagram. Somebody said, when you ask God for patience, God doesn't give you patience literally. He gives you the opportunity to be patient. When you ask for resilience, you get obstacles so that you can learn how to become resilient. And that is so true. So when I ask for, consistent income, God's like, okay, but you have to know how to be, how to handle that money, how to feel safe in the presence of more money, how to feel safe when the money isn't coming in. So I know I can go on and on about this, but, just that's where I was. Things did take quite a bit of time, but I kept putting in consistent efforts and I still do. I think I do more now. It's just that my state of being has changed. So it comes a lot more from flow and fun and wanting to know and wanting to teach. And I know it's not going to go away if I don't do the work, but there was a point where every single day it felt like an effort. It felt like, I had to change things little by little by little. And it all paid off. It's paying off now, but the seeds, like you say, were planted a year ago.
I love that. There's something that you said that is so wise, that when you ask for patience, it's not like God's like, here you go, some patience, like patience is within you. So here are circumstances and situations that you get to practice on it. And this is so beautiful to remember that it's always, I like to use the examples of always like, because I think it's such a good metaphor when we talk about, getting fit or working out, is that do you ever get fit or like build muscles if you start lifting up things that are really, really light to you? Or you need that resistance to build that strength? You need a challenge in order for you to be able to build that. So that's what happens a lot of times. And people have this misconception that I'm doing the money work, I'm doing all the right things. Oh, something bad happened. My car got towed. This stuff is not working. No, my love, it's not that this stuff is not working, but are you only going to believe in possibility and money is coming in when everything is fine and dandy, when everything is working out? Or are you still going to believe what's possible, what gets to be, and you become, like you said, the no matter what woman or what's going on around me, that I'm going to stay stable and I'm still going to believe. So that was really beautiful what you said. And if I might, I don't know if you remember this, but when you first contacted me, I remember you specifically saying that I want to work with you privately. I'm going to go manifest money to work with you privately. And do you remember what I said to you?
I don't exactly remember, but I think that what you said was there's no harm in starting small. It's the same level of support that you get, whether you're in a container or in a one-to-one, setting. And I did get that support, yes.
Exactly, because this is another thing that goes on a lot in the coaching industry that a lot of people say that you have to invest really, really big money. We have this belief that there is going to be, in order for me to get the big results, I have to basically wreck my nervous system by spending the money that I don't have, and now be in such a survival mode that it's just like I'm working out of panic to make that money. And I remember, and to you and everyone else that I say this, that be where you are and work there. There is no harm. If there is going to be a free masterclass, you get to learn from that masterclass and implement what you're learning in that masterclass, and then maybe you can pay it for the $47 and then the $100, working our way up into that place that we want to be, as opposed to only thinking that it's only with high level mentorship that I can get there, when what that does is that, because we are in such a panic mode, that now things have even compounded in the wrong way, that now we are $30,000 more in debt, to some people $100,000, and they're not where they are, and they feel worse than where they started. So that's something that I wanted you to speak on a little bit, for the people who think that the only way that they're going to succeed is that if they work with that particular coach privately with the highest level, and that's what's going to get them to the results that they want.
I agree, Shahrzad. I've been in those shoes where I've spent the kind of money that I didn't have, and it really put my nervous system in a very bad state. And I was so scared of not being able to pay, or, not having money. And also this narrative that goes around that, if you put big money on the table, then you're going to get big results. And I think it's completely BS. It shouldn't be the way that people should be marketed to. But anyway, that's a different conversation. I have been in those shoes and it's not good. I knew that I wanted a long-term container where I'm not, like breathless after making a payment, and I want results, because I was doing all of that. There was a time when I was waking up at 2 a.m., something that's against my rule. I value my health a lot, but for a coach, and it was a brilliant coach. So, but I was the one who put myself in that situation, and waking up at 2 a.m. for the calls and doing all the work and doing more than probably what I've done in your containers. But it was coming from so much desperation that it can never give me an outcome which is different from the energy in which I am kind of using the tools and the resources. But, I started with Mesmerize, I think it was 333 at the time, or even less. Yeah. I don't remember exactly. And then I took another program, 110 or something like that. And that didn't put me off, and I have not stopped working with you since then, but it was doable. And then the next step was doable. And then the next step was doable. And you do give a lot of value and attention to your clients. So I have to say that you don't treat like a container that is smaller as something that, I'm going to try and get people to sign up for, like, more expensive programs. So that's good. In terms of choosing the coach, yes, I think it doesn't matter what your results are for me right now. I don't look at the results. I don't look at what is the income of the coach. I look at, do I align with this person? Do I feel like my values are aligned? I saw that honesty in you. You could have easily sold me that, yeah, go ahead and get the money and put it on the table and let's do one-to-one private coaching. But I would say, if anybody's choosing a coach, please look if the coach cares about your well-being more than even you do. And that's what, Shahrzad, you do. You've never pushed me to buy any program. You've never even spoken about any of those things. I saw your integrity. I saw that you could give me the results. At that point, I did not know what is the content, but somewhere I sense there's a lot of depth, and I've never shied away from telling you that. And I was looking for depth. I was not looking for a quick fix. So I think those little steps to, where I am now has given me that space to, learn these things, get it into my awareness, embody it over and over again until, like you say, you become that. And that's when the seeds have become into plants, and they are bearing fruits now, they become into trees. And I think that's the right way to go about it. That's my take on it.
Oh, thank you for all those beautiful words and reaffirming that we don't need to create fear in someone, scarcity in someone, because I always love to say, again, the planting analogy works so well. Whatever I'm going to plant is whatever fruit I'm going to get. If I'm planting apple seed, I'm going to get apple. I'm not going to get orange. If you start working with someone from the space of fear, planting the seed of fear, what are you going to get? You're not going to get success. You're not going to get love. You're going to get very much aligned fruits with that fear-based seed, right? So that's why I really believe, because that was also my journey, especially at the beginning. I remember that at the very start, it was the free PDFs. Back then, when I started in 2013, PDFs and getting like people's how-tos was the main thing to go. Now, they're still there, but there is more other stuff that are, videos and other valuable master classes. But that was the mentality that I had no business into going to working with someone privately when all this new information on this PDF is something that I haven't actually implemented in my life. I haven't embodied in my life. But we think that we are so impatient with wanting the results now. I want to 5x my income now. I want that $10,000 a month, $20,000, $50,000 a month now. And if I don't know how to do it right now, then it's not worth it for me. But even if you start to look at it from the planting perspective, you plant a seed, a tree, for example, and it will take time to germinate and grow and get to a certain point. But then, every year it's going to give you the fruits. Every year it's not going to take that long for that tree to grow, for you to get the fruits. And then if you start to plant more and more and more and more trees, then you're having that quantum results that you get to have. But when we want to skip over and get to all the good stuff now, then we really don't work on the part that matters the most, which is who we become in the process. Because, we always talk about this very thing about, lottery winners, for example, in the concept of money, that lottery winners, why is it that 75% of them go bankrupt or broke or worse off after 3 to 5 years? Because the money came, the sudden money came, but they didn't have the container to hold it. All the stuff that comes with the consciousness of being a rich person and being safe with that amount of money, being wise with that amount of money, doing things in alignment. So you actually use that money to bring you even more, as opposed to, oh, this thing came, why not blow it out? Like, it's gonna be like, we just mess it all up. So I love that you went for the long run, and it's interesting that you started with Mesmerize, which is all, for those of you who don't know me, I do both relationship coaching and now a lot of money coaching. And that one thing led to another. It was one thing that first it was the really love part, and then it was heavily working on the emotional intelligence part. And I'd love for you, if you were to speak on that a little bit. Why is it that the work on the emotional intelligence kind of matters more than actual anything else? Like, if that's not in place, then what are we even doing here?
Because honestly, like, I wouldn't say this a year ago, but it really doesn't matter what the number in the bank account is if you can't have peace around it. And, in my experience, in my own personal experience, like I said, when I was in a job, I had decent amount of money and I still had anxiety around it. I still had like this not enough narrative around it. And of course, when I was not in a job and things were really rocky, I still had that feeling, except that it was amplified. And for me, feeling peace around what I have in my bank account is really important. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or if it's $10,000. I don't want to become a millionaire who can't sleep at night and be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is it going to go away tomorrow? And the thing is, anything can happen in life, no matter how smart we are with our savings, our investments, no matter what, you know. So this was really crucial for me. Like, I think the name that I use for my business, Pursuit of Peace underscore Parul, is because I was truly searching for peace in every area of my life. Because there were times when, you know, I would get a client and they would pay me like $2,000. And, you know, that's a good amount of money. And I would just feel numb. Or it, you know, like I would feel nothing. I would feel numb because I was feeling low, or I didn't know how to kind of keep getting it consistently, how to feel safe around money, how to hold on to that energy. I didn't know any of that. And that was the most challenging thing for me because it brought up all my fears. It brought up, you know, oh my God, people who I know around my age are doing so well. Have I made a mistake quitting my job? They are earning such good salaries. Why am I doing this? Even though I did not want, you know, that sort of a life, not to say that there's anything wrong with it. Or I would look at somebody get a lot of money and I'm like, yeah, of course, you know, you're privileged. And I would feel sad about it. I would feel disappointed in myself. Anxiety was the theme of my life. So slowly, as I started, you know, telling myself over and over again that, you know, how about I celebrate this person? How about, you know, when I feel anxious, I breathe, I just breathe into that anxiety. And I tell myself, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Like literally, this is the process that I have repeated 100 times over and said, okay, what can I do now? How can I make sure that this doesn't happen the next time? How can I create a savings account? How can I create, you know, an investment portfolio? How can I create a buffer for myself? And the more I did the practical stuff and the more that I did the breathing into my feelings, you know, one of the things initially that I used to feel a lot, and we did these breathwork sessions where you were like, where do you feel it? And my chest used to like just really close up. So that those breathwork sessions really helped me. And I followed up on it, you know. I was like, I'm going on silent mode. I'm just going to receive, listen, do. I'm not going to, you know, kind of spend my energy in 5 different directions. And I stuck to it. So I would literally do this every single time. When I would feel, and there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of shame around that. And you know that. You gave me book recommendations. I did a lot of inner child healing around that. And that was the time when I did not see any results immediately. But that has created such a strong foundation for me that thankfully I don't need to necessarily do it on an everyday basis. I have those tools, but that is what created that foundation for me. And I don't push away anything that comes up now. Fortunately, it doesn't come up as often because I'm operating at this stable kind of energy where things don't put me off very quickly. I do allow myself to get excited a lot more. But I don't get, you know, like my energy is not so wobbly any longer.
Yeah, you some really brilliant stuff right there, because a lot of people think that once I have that amount of money in the bank account, we have this like in the distance over there, when there is $10,000 in my bank account, when I have that one client that will pay me that, then I shall be at peace and at ease and I will feel good. And we all know that that is not going to, if for those of you who have experienced it, we know that in that feeling will go away overnight. Or like, well, what's going to happen next month? Well, what if somebody else, like what's going to happen then? What if, look at economy for people who are, what if I lose my job? What if, for entrepreneurs, what if my next launch flops? What do I need to do? So it's the anxiety that continues to be, if we don't know how to actually deal with the root cause of it. The fact that I can be stable and use the term that I love, that you're not wobbly, you're not going back and forth, ping ponging between, I am abundant, I am worthy, I can do this. Oh my God, what if this doesn't happen again? What if I have another unexpected, like, who do I need to pay next in order? All that stuff that goes back and forth, it really takes away from our inner peace, which is really, truly, if we think about it, what majority of us want more than anything. We want to be able to compound on that feeling of peace, but we want our baseline to be at peace. And when I look at my bank account, when I look at my when the bills are coming in, or when I want to pay for something, that I don't go into, like you said at the beginning, closing my heart, feeling like I want to either avoid it, or that when I have to look at it, is that all my nervous system goes into complete either shutdown or panic. So this is the beauty of what we say when it comes to the inner work and the emotional intelligence part, is that when you are in that continuous state of bringing back yourself back to neutral, not even on the excited over the top. I love those as well, but you don't have to be like that. A lot of people think that the only way that they're going to manifest a lot of money is this, like they're bouncing off the walls all day long and they have to be jumping on the trampoline. But you get to be at peace and at ease, and there are moments that you can compound on it, and the money will be responding to that, and money will not control your emotions. It goes down, you go down, it goes up, you go up. You get to choose with your personal power where you are. So I love all of that you said. Now let's talk about when it comes to where you are right now. So one more thing, when it came to making money and being a receptive of a lot of money, there was a specific fear that you had, which had a lot to do with what you anticipated, what was required of you. I would love for you to talk about that a little bit, and then talk about where you are. When it came to if I was to make a lot of money in my business, I had to do what?
I will burn out and I will have to work very hard. Oh my God, that was my fear, because I had several rounds of burnout, and I have to say, in my job, that happened, and it was really a health crisis. And funny enough, that was the time when I was training to be a health coach, and I was like, what just happened? I thought I was trying to get people to get healthy, and I myself have faced burnout. And when I quit my job, it happened again, and I was like, why is this happening when I'm doing something I love? And that's where the deeper inner work comes in, because I never felt enough. I never felt worthy. I never felt deserving. I was trying to make up for it by doing more. Also, I didn't have the emotional intelligence when somebody would say no to me. And this was very early on when I started out as a health coach. When somebody would say no to me, I was like, oh my God, I am like just so bad at what I do. And I was starting out, how unkind I was to myself. But then I also equated this thing that, I've always worked hard in life and got what I wanted. Now, cut to this day, yesterday was a day which was very busy for me. I have clients from the US. So, some of them I was working with at 6 a.m. in the morning. And that's fine for me because, I'm an early morning person and I enjoy it. For somebody on the outside, it could look like, oh my God, what is this girl doing? She's working so many hours. So it's not like us working from 6 until, night, which is when we also had our Q&A session for wealth magnetism. So I did get my breaks. In fact, I took 2 short naps in the afternoon. But I was doing a lot of work, but it's from this completely different energy that it fuels me. I'm not, it doesn't get me down. Nobody has to come and tell me what to do. So it's so funny that it could look like a day that was so packed, but from the outside, but for me, it was pure bliss and joy and flow. So I'm not saying that I'm not putting in the work. I am in a phase in my life where I am solidifying their systems. I'm creating systems. I need to put in a lot more, nurture my plants, So I am in that zone. But, today when my body was like, okay, you need a little bit of rest, I did a little less, So balance for me is also not working from 9 to 5, which is what I thought, and then taking a break. It's more about flow for me. You know, if I have a day where I want to be present, I want to do 10 things, I will do it. I do listen to my body, and it's not coming from a place where I'm not enough. So if I am enough with whatever I do, and this is a long-term game for me, this is my life's work, like you say. And if I want to bring in my best energy to what I'm doing, I know where to stop before I get burnt out. So all this money that, has started suddenly like blown up, I was not even looking at the money. And that's so funny because I was so obsessed with money, and I have a lot of compassion for that version of me, because literally my needs were also not being fulfilled. I felt so cornered because I was like, will I have to depend on somebody for the rest of my life? This is like, will somebody have control over my life all the time because I'm dependent for money on somebody? And that's also where a limiting belief of mine was, because I subconsciously, I believe that I will always have to be dependent on a man to be supported financially. And that's like patriarchy and what I saw around me. And that was not true. Like, my reality was different. There was a long time when I was independent and supporting myself. But because subconsciously I bought into it, I think I was kind of manifesting it in my life. So a lot came up during that journey. So no,
I
no, it doesn't mean I'm not putting in so many extra hours. In fact, I have to say, I am putting half, probably less than half the hours that I was doing in my job to come to a level where, I'm earning more than double of what I was over there.
I love that. I love that. And that is the reason I brought this up, because there a lot of women have this fear that in order for me to have more money, it automatically means that I have to be working a lot more. And we have trauma around it, that working, especially when we are doing things that, when we don't have, like you said, the emotional intelligence part. Oh, I can't say no to people. I will have to prove my worth to them. I have to compete with all these other people because I need the validation to feel good about myself. So we blame all of this on the job or on the work, when really it's our own lack of boundaries. It is our fear of speaking up when something is not aligned. It is our need of being better than everyone else and being better than the men and the women and all those people that gets us into that state that, God, this job is taking away everything in me, my inner peace, my joy, and the money. I'm working so damn hard, and the money that is coming in is not even, it's just meeting my basic needs. And then fast forward, we go into yesterday, that you are putting in the hours and you are working early in the morning. And this is the paradigm that I also want to kind of shift a lot of people. Like, I see a lot of marketing is like, I worked half an hour in a week and look at me. And cool, that's fine. But I actually would love to contribute still. I still would love to. When I work with my clients, when I work with you, it is just so much joy and fulfillment that I get from the transformation. So why am of course, I want more time with my family. Of course, that's the case, but it's not all about who she wins, who works the least amount of minutes in the week. To me, it's how fulfilled you are with what you're doing. Does what you're doing bring you joy? Does what you're doing make you both feel rich and fulfilled on a personal level when it comes to your gifts? So I love that you brought that up. And of course, we all know that the level of impact that we're going to have. So, let's say for an entrepreneur that is putting out courses, they could be doing the same amount of work that they are doing for 20 people or 200 people. If it's a self-study course or a program, the work is the same, but that is when we tap into the impact, because the money that we receive is really directed with the level of impact that we have. So all that stuff then doesn't come from working hard, but it comes with the depth, the getting over the fear of visibility, getting over the fear of What if somebody buys it and then wants a refund? Ooh, that's the scariest thought ever. So this is why the emotional intelligence and the inner work is so important. And you have been such an example of this, Parul. One something that I am so proud of you for is that, you know, we have in Women of Masterpiece at this point biweekly calls, and it's that you come and you share vulnerably and you get the what I give you or in our courses, and then you go and implement it. It's not just something that, you know, you hear once and then you come back with the same thing over and over and over. And I want you to share that part of the process that you have and give it to people that really are kind of jumping from one thing to another thing, and they want another solution and they want another pill. How does that work when it comes to the depth of receiving coaching?
I feel choose a coach you resonate with and go deep with them. I have uncovered with you a lot of layers to the same thing. And I didn't at the beginning want to do it. It seemed so hard. I just wanted the money. I just wanted the relationship. I just wanted the followers and the people. I didn't want any of that. But I was willing to do whatever it took. And there were days when I would cry and be like, why is it not moving faster? But, you know, I would listen to you. And even right now, like I'm doing wealth magnetism, and the second week, I have listened to the call 5 times over while I was doing the homework, and I uncover something different. I listened to something different. Maybe I missed out on something when I'm listening to it for the first time. And maybe I've missed out nothing, but as I move ahead, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the same program, and I come back to that content and I've integrated a part of it, I get something more out of it. And that is where the magic was for me. You know, I have gone from, okay, I have one limiting belief that I need to be dependent on men for it. Okay, fine. I have another limiting belief that I have to work very hard. Another limiting belief that, you know, oh, how can I charge more because I don't trust myself? Or what if people are trusting in me and, you know, I disappoint them? And these are layers that I'm peeling. And I will continue to do that, you know, keep going deeper with my own self, because there are always layers. There's always more to learn and integrate. So yeah, I've taken that step-by-step approach. I've trusted it. I've listened to you when you said, you know, there is more to it. But more than that, you've taught me how to trust myself. So it's not like I'm over here and looking at you and saying, oh, save me, save me, save me, you know, because that's when I'm not process oriented, you know. Beyond a point, I think late last year, I was like, just forget about the money, focus on offering what Sharzad offers. Like I get really inspired by you because Sharzad, you know, I do all of your free master classes still, and I do them over and over again because I know I'm going to get so much out of it, as much out of it as the paid program. So if anybody who's listening who thinks, you know, oh, but I can't afford a program right now, do the free stuff. It is as much value as the paid ones, and I still do them.
And
So
that's what makes you make these shifts, because of the way that, you know, our mind wants to say that it's whatever I pay for is what's valuable. And I get that. I understand that, you know, it's been a little bit of it was like, well, gold is this much and then copper is this much, therefore gold is more valuable. Well, we decide that this is perceived, like gold didn't become valuable, with us humans gave it the value based on the rarity of it, right? But you get to shift that. You get to really embrace where you are and start building on it based on what's available for you. And there are so many resources out there. It's not to say that, you know, when you don't move forward, because what I saw from you, Parul, as well, was that it was the free master classes, and then there were the courses, and then that there is the Women of Masterpiece now that you were a part of. And this is not to say that, like, you know, this is the way to go. This was the way to go for Parul, because the way that she was able to work through the container and then work her way up for more, work her way up for more. And when we go into the 1 year container of the Women of Masterpiece, I would love for you to speak on what the benefits, like you kind of said it is like it's not a race. You don't feel like you have to get it right away. You have to get the results right away. You have some breathing room. But then there's a lot of people that lose momentum. So they get excited and they go for like a whole year thing. Yes, I have a year about it. And then 2-3 months they go into complete disappearance. What made you, we have completed almost a year together now, what made you to not kind of fade away and be like, well, I have enough now. There are enough courses. I could just go review them. I don't really need to show up for the calls. I don't really need to ask for questions. Tell us a little bit about your mindset.
That was not an option I gave myself.
Mm.
Women of Masterpiece was a miracle for me. I didn't necessarily have the money. It was sponsored for me by my brother. It happened last minute for me. And it really happened magically, and I was not going to take it for granted. What kept me going? Just the decision, Sharzad, that I'm not going to be that person who, when she gets the opportunity, she's going to lean back. Now, I'm not saying I wake up every day and, I never take a day off. No, I really do take care of my energy. I go out, I enjoy, I do other things. But I maintain this pace. There are days when I do more, there are days when I do less. I listen to myself. But this is what I had asked for, and I was not going to let it go. It was not coming from a place of fear. It was coming from a place of like, if you want things to work for you, show up yourself. Mm. It was not easy. It was not easy because showing up, not just to do the course, that the learning part was the easier part for me. I love learning. But showing up and being vulnerable, showing up in my business consistently. I don't believe that, show up even when you don't feel like it, but also going and asking myself, why do I not feel like it? Is it that I'm tired? Or is it because, I'm scared that I'm going to say something wrong? Or is it that it's going to be a lot of work? And it is going to be a lot of work in the beginning because you're not used to it. But also understanding, am I the kind of person who can show up live every day? Am I the kind of person who can show up live twice a week and be more, centered and give more? And I figured out that equation for myself. But no way was I going to give up that opportunity where I get to be coached live. It's, Women of Masterpiece is as good as private coaching. And 2 calls a month are more than enough. If you're, outside of those calls, I'm doing the work. And I don't necessarily have questions on all the calls, but I am constantly doing the work. I am listening to the questions that other people are asking. I'm listening to almost all the calls. I think I've just missed one recording so far. And that's because I got suddenly so busy with my own business, but that's not an excuse for me. So yeah, that's not something that I'm going to allow myself to do. I will hold up myself to the highest standard. And this is different from the previous version of me who would be like, oh, if you're tired, if you're exhausted, keep pushing. No. It is a long-term game. I'm going to be there. Also, the one thing that I had never previously done in my life, but I started doing when I got into my, this rock bottom phase of life, is I started comparing myself a lot to other people. And that is such a waste of time. Comparison truly is the thief of joy and your outcomes, because my journey has unfolded in a way which is so different from yours or anybody else I've seen, because my intuition is my intuition. But coming back to the point that, I decided that I'm going to be focused. I decided that I'm going to keep doing it until I get to where I want to go, with or without Sharzad, with or without anyone. And I'm like, God, you have to give it to me.
I mean, you dropped so many gems there. I don't know if you realize that, because, the fact that you said, I made a decision, that is massive. Making a decision and to make a decision, it means you cut off all other options. There is no other option. I am showing up. I'm not taking this for granted. I'm not going to. And that is not something that anybody can do for you. We had this conversation about wealth magnetism yesterday, is that this is the part that no coach can do for the client. And some coaches do position themselves as the savior, that I will change your life. But my motto is that you will change your life because you want it. You will do it. You're the star of the show. You're going to be the one that changed your life. You get all the glory. I get just to be here for you. And sometimes, like, it's just like, the person that is, I always like to imagine that people are walking on a path and it's dark, and there's a person that is holding the light, but the other people are doing the walking. It's just that there are corners in our lives, we have blind spots. We all do it. That's why I'm also a big believer in mentorship, because that's what it gets to do for us, that it quickens our process, especially when we want it. So I really love that you made that point, that it was your decision. And there's something that I think you have a blind spot on right now, that is when it comes to comparison. What I see in you, in the women of masterpiece, that even like we all have the tendency of sometimes perhaps seeing somebody and wanting it, but I see that you connect with women in Women of Masterpiece that are doing the work, and instead of comparing yourself and feeling like you are less than and going in the corner, you have actually gave yourself permission to be inspired by them and form friendships with them. Is that something that you want to talk about a little bit and give yourself all the props?
I do. But before I go there, I want to say, when I was talking about making decisions, so emotional intelligence was very critical there as well, because it's not like I had not made decisions in the past. So sometimes it was not getting the right guidance, but also the fact that it's not like I make a decision today and everything is all right. I go there and I meet a road bump. And who am I being, like you say, when you coach us, when that happens? And I think working on emotional intelligence really helped me, because this was one thing that would really, pull me down. It would really pull me down, and then I would be in that black hole for like quite some time. But what this did for me was, now I can deal with something that's going on in my life and continue moving, maybe at a slower pace, but continue going ahead, continue that forward momentum in a certain sense. So I think that's where sticking to that decision makes a difference, because I feel that consistency is so important. And I will admit I was lacking there. And that is also one area that I really focused on. So just wanted to add to that, because I know a lot of women might be like me, who'd be like, yeah, I decided, but oh my God, this is so exhausting, because I felt a lot of it during the way, during the process. So that was there. Now coming to the women who are in Women of Masterpiece. Sharzad, I don't know if you remember, but there was a program on sisterhood wounds. I did everything. And I worked my way through that. And I again made a decision that I'm going to engage, I'm going to get inspired, I'm going to make connections, which I would typically not. I was like, okay, I'll do my work, I'll be in this container, I'll show up. But I made a very deliberate attempt to connect with people, and I found such beautiful friendships within the group. Yeah, I don't compare myself to them. I just feel so happy when, some of these women, okay, I'll not take names, but they're winning, and they are winning big time. I have found beautiful friendships, and I need that, because I don't see the same kind of people around me physically in my, geographical location. And I need that environment for myself as well. So, and also what it does to you is, like, when people share their vulnerability, you realize that you're not alone. They're also going through the same journey, but everybody's too scared to share. So when you share, you open up that conversation, and then more people share. And I think we have a beautiful group of women who just show up so raw. And it's not like that we're 1 year into this container that nothing big is happening. I think it's happening for so many of us in the container, but the ability to come up and talk about it is because we have collectively created that standard, that space for this group. So I'm very grateful to be in Women of Masterpiece. It's given me this community, which is going to continue outside of it as well. I hope so.
I love that you shared all of that, because that is the case for, it all comes back to the inner work and the emotional intelligence again, because when we feel like other people, if they have it, that means that I'm less than them where they are and where I'm not, even though I'm older than them, even though I have worked harder than them. And we isolate ourselves in shame. Shame is very isolating, and we start to get triggered right, left, and center, because it is everything. We gather the evidence of that this is her success means I'm a failure, her doing it means I'm not good enough, and that all robs us from the magnificence that is possible for us within us, and the abundance that we get. I always use this as a prime thing in my money teaching, is that money doesn't understand that you are excited for yourself or for someone else. If you have this heavy feelings, for example, in the realm of money, about somebody having money, the message that you're sending out is not that, oh, I love money for me, but I don't love money for her. It's like, I don't love money, so poof goes the money. Same thing comes in the relationships. I always say it to my single clients that if engagements trigger you, even your other friends are getting married, if your sister is getting married, if you actually go into resentment or feeling less than, what you are sending out to the universe is that engagement makes me really, really upset. So the universe is like, alrighty then, no engagement for you if this is your reaction, because there is such thing as the law of oneness. So you're working on yourself in that realm. I mean, like I said, I have the privilege of observing of the kind of women that they're just connecting and creating. And I know that, you and one of my other beautiful clients are doing collabs on YouTube. And then there is another one that you're going to, my past client, that you're going to talk for on her platform. This is what feminine leadership friendships looks like, that we all rise together when we want to be the only, I like this metaphor, is that what is more beautiful when you look at the sky? Is it one star, or when you see a sky full of stars? And it's pretty obvious, right? It's when you look at the star that is a sky full of stars, is that it takes your breath away. But we fight so hard to be the only shining one, to be the only star, as if your light is going to take away from mine, your beauty is going to take away from mine, your success is going to take away from mine. But the truth is that the more we are in our power, the more we are appreciative of each other's beauty, then the more we are making a difference in the whole world and for ourselves. So I just really wanted to commend you on what you have created. I'm so grateful for my Women of Masterpiece. And is it going to put you on the spot? You just almost completed a year. Do you think you're going to come back to Women of Masterpiece for second year?
Yeah, that's something that's going on in my mind. Yeah, I mean, that is a conversation that I'm having with myself, but I totally recommend it to anybody and everybody, because it is so worth it. It is so worth it. And also, like, if you look at it in terms of money, like, you get access to all, if you choose to join, you get access to Shahrzad's programs, all of them. And then, you do it, you get to do it over and over again. And I think one thing that really helps is having that live support, which was very important for me, because there are a lot of things that I can't see on my own, even if I'm doing a course. So the ability to go and ask questions, and I do that a lot. I did it a lot more in the beginning. I continue to do that. So being able to go and say, this is how I'm feeling. What is happening? Like, I don't get it. I don't have any shame in asking questions, by the way. So that I think really makes a difference. Having you to be able to look at my blind spots, telling me, okay, this is happening, what's going on, so that I can take that step forward, which I feel wouldn't happen if I was just, like doing a course on my own, as valuable as it is, maybe as a first step. But I was very clear that I wanted some sort of live support, because it really made a difference to my journey. And I knew it even at the beginning when I was doing, the smaller programs. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend it.
And that's really important to remember, my love, because a lot of women have hangups. Oh, is my question stupid? Is my question too, like, what if I ask something and I embarrass myself and other people judge me? Again, I cannot say it enough that it's all about our inner work and emotional intelligence. When we need to be the smart one in the room, when we need to look like we are the one that has it all together and has no issues because we're so afraid of being judged, well, then again, once again, we isolate ourselves and we stay the same. But you having the working through all of that and asking your question and listening to other people's questions, because let's be real, like there is so much value that we get from all the other questions that people ask. And if everybody thinks that way and nobody wants to ask a question, then we are creating a big disservice to the whole group and whole community. So I know we've gone for an hour. I don't want to take too much of your time, my love. Thank you for all that you have shared. So I just want to know if you had an advice for somebody that is where you used to be a year ago in terms of being scared of burnout, wondering if it's ever going to happen for them, wanting the money now, but it's, they kind of are afraid that it's going to take too long. What recommendations, what message, advice do you have for them, if you could share?
Do the work, do the deeper inner work. Like I said earlier, find a coach who you deeply resonate with, and find a coach who cares more about your success than their profits. Because, what I'm seeing with money right now is my income doubled from the month of March to April. It's 5 times this month. Actually, it's going to be, I think, 5.5 now. It's moving every day. It's not because I was sitting and looking at my bank account every day. It's not because I was wanting to manipulate people. It was not that. It is because all the work that I did from last year, and suddenly it compounded. So, and because I've done the harder work. So, I mean, it's good to do the free stuff, it's good to look for the free stuff, but in order to go deeper, in whatever capacity you can, because I started small, invest in somebody, show up for the work, because I think you can get the best mentor. And if you don't show up for the work and don't do the work, nothing is going to change. And be patient. I've been very patient, and I've also been very impatient in the journey. But I worked on that energy. So yeah, do all the deeper inner work. And I think that was such a huge foundation over a period of 8-10 months, that I kept doing the work. And then suddenly all of it, blew up in my face in a good way, So now I see why it has worked for me, because I'm focused on doing the practices and using the tools and doing all the inner work constantly. I am focused on creating value for people. I'm focused on having fun, because that's very little of what I would do with work. And I think work, as it's traditionally called, I would not even want to say that. It's a lot of fun right now. And then money becomes a byproduct. And I can't say how it's going to come for you. Like, I'm sure, like, not everybody is a coach. Maybe you're in a job, but all of those things align. Like, working on alignment in every sense of the word, emotional intelligence, understanding my boundaries, understanding what's my inner child has got to do with it, self-worth, deservingness. That's the stuff that has built the foundation. And then applying it all to money. How do I look at it? Okay, so if I don't feel enough, I project that on the money. If I don't feel secure in myself, I compare myself to others, and then I project it to money. I blame money for all of that. it is all related. It's the same, any area of your life, you can project it to that. So doing that core work is the most important thing. And then understanding it in relation to money, to relationships, all sorts of relationships, whatever your goal is. So that's the biggest part. Something that I told you, Sharzad, was that this work has healed my relationship with my parents so much. Like, I'm the same person, they're the same people. We have a deeper bond. We have a more mature approach to things. I have strong boundaries. Boundaries was something I never had. And I think I told you, there is no concept of boundaries in my country. And then you said, okay, fine. So you're going to be the first one who's going to have that. It was not easy, but it changed, things changed. I don't know if that was the answer that you wanted to the question, but
that was the perfect answer there. And that is just what matters, is your truth. It's interesting that, we had a whole 1 hour of conversation, and really, really, like, yeah, this is how you 5.5 times your income. But it really was all about very little to do with the actual, what was the step one, but it was about the embodiment work and who you became in the process, not for looking for immediate gratification, not looking for save me, not looking for something that would cure all your problems, but it was just a depth that you were available to go to do the work that it was needed when it came to your beliefs around money, how you felt safe around money, how you allowed yourself to be held when things felt hard. Because that's another thing that, having that support, like you said, when you find a coach that resonates with you, when you have a community that it really does facilitate healing. It helps with not feeling alone and encourages you to go back and move forward. So I'm so blessed that you are, showing what's possible to women. And more than anything, I love that, what we're talking, like, I'm a woman of color, you're a woman of color, and it's in country that is not necessarily a place where, women feel super empowered around being able to, and obviously there is a lot, but we're talking about the majority, that this is what I want to represent, that it really, you get to shift the narrative, you get to be the change maker, you get to be the one that is going to be first with boundaries. And nothing brings me more joy when a family dynamic is healed, when something that we could feel in our environment all the time that could feel like it's going to make us wobble is now have become more in pursuit of peace, is that you are at peace and at ease. And I really love that. I want to thank you for being here, my dear. And I would obviously love for people to find you and follow you and your brilliant work. So if you could let us know, I'll put it also in the description box, but let us know where you like to play the most. Where would you like people to find you?
Thank you so much, Sharzad, for those kind words. I have enjoyed this, and this is what I mean by flow. I didn't even know that it's been an hour because it's been so much fun talking to you. And this is what flow is all about. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Where people can find me is on YouTube, Pursuit of Peace _Parul. It's the same on Instagram. I would want nothing more than to share my journey, share some of what I have learned from you, truly a lot. So yeah, that's where people can find me.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that people are going to love what you have to offer as they come and get to know you and your beautiful energy and magic and what you stand for. Thank you again, once again. And for those of you ladies who want to inquire about Women of Masterpiece, there's no sales page for it. There is nothing that you can go and just buy it. It really is a sacred space for me that I really make sure that the women that are joining and coming, they have the right expectation, they have the right attitude, they have the right energy, because we spend the whole year together. And it really matters that we are aligned, because it really, the people that we allow in our environment, the women that we work with, And this is not to say that somebody is good enough for it or somebody is not good enough for it. It's just a matter of the willingness and the openness that they have to healing more than anything. I don't care if somebody has sisterhood wounds, but what I care about is that when they get the feedback that this is a sisterhood wound, let's fix it, let's heal it, that they are open to it. And so you are more than welcome to inquire about it and join women, incredible women like Parul in our container if it is the right match. And once again, thank you, Parul, for being here, my dear. I am so, so, so blessed to have you in my life. And I'm so grateful that I could get to share it with the rest of the world.
Likewise, Sharza. Thank you so much for having